what is important to understand, Eden, is that you never find the source of meaning. You just get rewarded for striving towards it. Which makes perfect sense, since it is the process of trying to answer what is beyond us that is the best definition there is of meaning. Now, how did the intellect manage to forget that? In the very beginning, we started to observe our own thinking. Then we stopped thinking for the sake of thinking. Instead, we started to think about the observations we made while watching what we were initially thinking about. This is the very definition of abstraction. So, let's abstract what the intellect and meaning have in common. Well, they both serve the same purpose: to help us make sense of what we don't understand. What is interesting here is that we know we need an ideal to aim towards in order to strive effectively. But our intellect cannot deal with the fact that the ultimate goal it must be striving for isn't to understand the reason we need to strive, but simply to help us find an ideal we're striving for. The intellect thinks, why would I strive towards a subjective goal when I could objectively try to understand why it is that I'm the goal so badly? The intellect has become so good at abstracting that it has somehow lost interest in practical knowledge, has instead turned towards an ultimate one. It doesn't prioritize helping us to strive anymore. I'd rather try to understand what striving is, where it comes from. Now, the intellect needs to shut the fuck up, Jake! I'm trying to fucking think. The intellect needs to experience meaning. But how can it if it spends all its time thinking about where meaning comes from, instead of actually aiming at meaning itself? Which brings us back to the initial question. Where did the intellect get the idea that meaning had an observable source? Well, consciousness. Consciousness gives us the capacity to define meaning. But on the other hand, it also gives us the knowledge that meaning was a subjective experience. A knowledge that the intellect has no affinity for, since the intellect has no interest whatsoever in subjective experience. Because the intellect has learned to believe only in scientific thinking, and science believes reality is only objective. That's where. Okay, so meaning is a facet of sentient being. The intellect is incapable of understanding, and therefore except from its frame of reference. Also, the intellect has a history of seeking control. Obviously, how could the capacity to see beyond what we believe to know, which is what abstraction does, possibly lead elsewhere than to the self-empowerment of that part of us that initially gave rise to this very ability? I mean, the intellect hasn't been deified by modern people for nothing. We need to idealize in order to strive. Listen to me. We killed every external god, one, but from within us. Okay, so we killed beliefs at some point. Yeah, we did. We did when we stopped believing. Part of us did, you're right. It's not the intellect, it's more precise. Reason, yes. It's exactly that. Reason killed beliefs under the pretext that beliefs are unreliable. Because fundamentally subjective. Consequently, we modern people decided to believe only in reason. Then inevitably we idealized reason in order to strive. But doing so, we convinced ourselves that beliefs weren't necessary. We're so reductionist by nature that we keep blinding ourselves. We believe that we don't need a belief system despite the fact that this belief belongs to a belief system itself. Okay. So we could say that, Ethan, the cost of consciousness is an eternal internal struggle. Now, at one level of analysis, the struggle opposes the intellect and meaning. We've talked about that. But if we abstract further, this conflict also opposes the objective and the subjective world. Because, well, abstraction itself comes from the intellect. And intellect is inseparable from science, which is limited by objectivity. Whereas meaning, as well as beliefs, only exists subjectively. But in a way, this level of analysis is merely superficial, since this contradiction only arises due to actual scientific worldview. A view that reduces reality to the objective observation of the material world, which is nonsense. Okay. So where does the struggle come from then? No, not that. The struggle opposes, it opposes the usefulness of abstraction because we need it versus something like the lack of stable grounds that comes with it. Because the more you abstract, the more you distance yourself from any belief system. That's it. That's the right level of analysis. Beliefs are comforting. Abstractions aren't. Beliefs say, you know enough. Abstractions say, you wish you did. The problem is you need both belief and abstraction. They both exist. They're both real. Even though one is objective while the other is subjective. And reason did nothing but tossing the problem aside by dismissing beliefs. Inasmuch as dismissing something that is simply isn't helpful. Okay. Now, How do we grapple that? Belief and abstraction, if they are the right level of analysis, then we've already established that the more you abstract, the more you distance yourself from any belief system, right? Alright, what then? The more you distance yourself from your beliefs, the more you understand what's wrong with them. Obviously, that's the whole point of abstracting. The more you understand what's wrong with your beliefs, the more, well, if you have any sense, you adjust them. Okay. And then what? What happens when you adjust your beliefs? When you realize how shallow beliefs are. And the more you acknowledge how shallow your beliefs are, the more uncertain you become. Of course, I mean, how can you trust any of your beliefs once you know you'll eventually stop believing in them? Well, that's easy. Believe only in reason. Problem solved. Now how fucking crazy is that?